A classic Italian dish, and you can learn how to make it. Throw 200 grams of flour, 1 teaspoon of yeast, and 2 teaspoons of sugar into a large bowl and mix together gently with a spoon. Then pour in 200 milliliters of warm water and use your hands to stir through the dry ingredients. Now pour in 15 milliliters of olive oil and blend it into the mixture by hand to make your dough. Next, flour a clean board and put your ball of dough on top. Knead it repeatedly until you end up with a smooth ball of dough. Now use some olive oil to grease around the sides of a glass bowl. Like so. Pop your dough ball inside and cover the bowl completely with cling film. Then leave it to sit for an hour. Meanwhile, pour 150 milliliters of tomato paste, half a teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, 10 milliliters of olive oil, and some fresh basil into a new bowl. This will be the sauce for your pizza base. Pour olive oil onto a chopping board. Spread it out and place your dough on top. Stretch and roll it out into a large sausage shape, like this one. Then slice it in half down the middle. Roll one half of the dough into a new, smaller, smooth ball. Then you can carefully place it onto a clean pizza tray and press the dough down evenly to cover the whole surface. Prod the dough with a fork to assist with even cooking. Spread your tomato pizza sauce thickly over the surface of the pizza, making sure not to go too close to the edge. Then sprinkle some Italian mozzarella cheese over the tomato sauce. The amount depends on how cheesy you like your pizza. Then add a few leaves of basil on top. Drizzle over some olive oil, and then it's time for you to pop your pizza in the oven for 15 minutes at 200 degrees. When it's done, you'll have a fresh, homemade margherita pizza. Well done, you! Super tasty! Today, we're making a French spinach and cheese quiche. For the pie crust, add 85 grams of butter, 140 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of cold water to a food processor, and pulse until the dough comes together. Refrigerate the mixture for 3 minutes, then flour a board and roll out the chilled dough to fit a deep dish pie tin. Like so. Then, use a pizza slicer or a sharp knife to trim the edges neatly. Nice and tidy. Place your dough over a cooking tin. Press the dough in firmly around the edges and crimp them together so that it fits nicely. Trim off the excess using a sharp knife, but be careful. Poke the base using a fork so that the dough doesn't puff up. Cover it with baking parchment, then cover your dish with rice. This will hold the paper down. Freeze the tin for 30 minutes, then cook at 180 degrees for 20 minutes. Now for the spinach and cheese filling. In a pan, add 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 10 grams of chopped garlic, 25 grams of onions, and 10 grams of chopped shallots. Cook these together, add 200 grams of fresh spinach, then set aside when done. In a bowl, add an egg, pepper, salt, and 120 milliliters of heavy cream, and whisk well. Take your pie crust, spread the spinach across the base, and pour in the cream mixture in a thick, even layer that coats all of the spinach. Add 45 grams of blue cheese and 100 grams of Parmesan cheese crumbled on top. Bake at 150 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes, and then the quiche is ready to be devoured. Just look at that cheese bubbling on top. Delicious. You can enjoy this dish hot or cold. Bon appétit!
Today I am going to show you how to make a cheesy burger. Now this is a classic recipe and you can't go wrong. So let's grab our ingredients. You're going to need 1/4 cup of mushrooms, 1 tablespoon of porridge oats, 1/4 cup of carrot, 1 cup of onions, 1 cup of quinoa, 1/4 cup of courgette and red pepper, and 1 cup of Carolina beans. You're also going to need 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs, lettuce leaves, 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, 1/3 cup of cheddar cheese, 4 slices of cheese, 1 egg, 2 garlic cloves, 1 tomato, and 2 buns. So let's grab your ingredients and let's get started. First off, let's boil the quinoa for 10 minutes on the hob. Remember to get your parents' help to do this. We're now going to brown the onion in a fry pan. Smells delicious! Now we're going to add the courgette and red pepper. And the mushroom. Use a garlic crusher to crush the garlic in as well. Now we're going to add the carrot. Mine is grated. Give it a good stir. Cook for 5 minutes on the hob. This will soften all the vegetables. We now want to add the cooked quinoa into a blender. Add the Carolina beans. Mix and blend. We're now going to put the fried ingredients from the pan into our blender as well. Blend these ingredients together. Great! Now we're going to add the 2 blended lots of ingredients together in a bowl, along with our oats and our breadcrumbs. Also add the Parmesan and the cheddar cheese. We're now going to add an egg. And next comes the best part. Use your hands to mix all of these ingredients together. Keep going. Now we're going to make the mixture into patties. We're going to make 4, 2 per burger. Put them on some greaseproof paper. Perfect! These look great. Now let's take them to the hob. We're going to heat some oil in a pan and then we're going to put our burgers in. We want to cook them for 5 to 10 minutes on each side. Look how perfectly golden brown they are. Don't they look delicious? Now we're going to cut up our tomato. Yum! 4 slices, 2 for each burger. Now cut the bun in half. It's time to assemble. So let's start off with a square of cheese. Now we're going to add 1 of our patties. Add some more cheese on top. This should start to melt because the patties are hot. Now we're going to add some lettuce and finally some tomato. And there you have it. Once you've added the top of the bun on, there are some delicious cheesy burgers waiting for you to eat. Don't they look great? What an original recipe! Cheesy burgers.
Quesadillas are a super tasty treat from Mexico, perfect for sharing with friends. Here are just some of our favourite recipes for you to try at home. For the first one, roll some cling film over a chopping board, wrap some chicken breast inside them, and then give them a good bash to flatten out the meat. Then get 1 tablespoon of olive oil and of chopped garlic, 1 teaspoon of cumin, paprika, cayenne pepper, oregano and sugar, half a teaspoon of salt and pepper, 1 tablespoon of lime juice, and stir them all together in a bowl. Place your chicken in the bowl and rub the seasoning into the chicken breasts, like this. Cover the bowl with cling film and allow it to sit for around 30 minutes. Heat up a tablespoon of olive oil and 20 grams of chopped onion in a non-stick pan. Then add 20 grams of orange, green and red chopped bell pepper. Season with half a teaspoon of salt and pepper and soften in the pan. When it's cooked, re-oil the pan, then set to cooking your chicken. Make sure to turn the meat a couple of times in the pan so that the chicken can cook through properly. When your chicken breast is cooked, remove them from the pan and place them on a chopping board and use a sharp knife to cut them into lots of thin strips, like this. Then take a flour tortilla, lay the chicken over one side, sprinkle over some of your seasoned filling mixture and add a good handful of your favourite grated cheese. Fold the tortilla in half, and now it's time to cook again in 100 milliliters of oil in a non-stick pan. The great thing about this recipe is that you can cook 2 at once. When one side is browned, flip it over to finish cooking. When they're ready, it's time to serve up and slice into pieces, just like a pizza. For a tasty dip, mix 100 grams of avocado, 50 grams of chopped red onion, 10 grams of garlic and 30 grams of chopped jalapenos in a bowl. Stir everything together well, then season with cumin, salt, pepper, and lime juice, and mix together again. Once everything's blended together, it's time to sit back, serve up, and enjoy the tasty results of all your hard work. For idea number 2, replace your chicken with steak. Season the meat with salt and pepper on both sides, and rub it in. Then wrap the meat in cling film and rest for 30 minutes. In a pan, use 1 tablespoon of oil to heat 50 grams of chopped onion and 50 grams of jalapenos. Add a little salt when they're nearly cooked. Remove from the pan, then re-oil it and get those steaks sizzling. This time you can cook the steak to your preferred taste. Personally, I like mine medium, just a little bit pink in the middle. When they're cooked, lay out your steaks and thinly slice them. As before, lay out the meat on one side of your tortilla. Sprinkle over your seasoned mixture and, of course, a generous handful of cheese. Fold over your tortilla like so to keep everything inside, then oil a pan and set those quesadillas cooking. It's important to cook them well to allow the cheese to melt. Flip them over halfway through cooking to get both sides brown and crispy. Now all that's left is to serve them up to your favourite guests. Brilliant! For a dip, grab a bowl and throw in 100 grams of tomato, 50 grams of red onion, 20 grams of jalapenos, some fresh herbs, and season with plenty of salt and pepper. Sprinkle over 2 tablespoons of lime juice and give it all a really good mix. This is a really fresh and tasty salsa. Brilliant! For a final suggestion, cook 150 grams of zucchini or courgette in 2 tablespoons of oil. Add 150 grams of corn and season with a little salt and pepper. Then give everything a good cook for several minutes. Spread your mixture over half a tortilla. And again, add plenty of your favourite cheese. As before, fold the tortilla over and cook through in the pan. This particular recipe idea is an excellent alternative if you're vegetarian or want to make a quesadilla that is suitable for almost anyone to eat. Remember to flip your quesadilla halfway through cooking. Now all that's left is to serve up and slice it into neat sections to share. For this dip, take 200 grams of sour cream, season with salt and pepper, a couple of tablespoons of lime juice, and stir it all together well. This is a great, fresh, low-fat version of the classic quesadilla. Bon appétit! Want to know how to make chicken cordon bleu? We'll show you. Lay out some cling film on top of a chopping board. Place a chicken breast on top, place more film on top of that, and then beat it with a tenderizer to flatten out your chicken. Then remove the top layer of film, just like so. And season your chicken with classic salt and pepper. Now add 2 slices of cheese, followed by 2 slices of ham, and finally 2 more tasty slices of cheese. Now, carefully roll up the chicken to create a ham and cheese parcel, making sure everything is tightly rolled together. Securely wrap the film around it. Tie the film at both ends, and now you can place in the freezer for 30 minutes. Once that's done, dip your chicken roll in flour, then in some whisked egg, and then in breadcrumbs. Make sure you coat it properly. Repeat the egg and breadcrumb step for some extra crispy chicken. This is the messy part. Now, using some tongs, carefully place the roll into a pan of hot oil and deep fry it for a good amount of time. You'll know it's ready when the coating is golden brown, just like this one. Let's drain some of the oil away before placing it back on your chopping board. Slice through your chicken parcel with a sharp knife, and you should find your chicken is cooked and your cheese is steamy and melting. Now just plate it up with a healthy side salad, and voila, a delicious fancy meal to share. Enjoy!